That's a lot of noise there for Solar. Let's see if we can get a similar amount of noise for the man in the top right here on Glittering Ashes. The one, the only, Big Game.
I am very happy for Gabe that he's doing so well at the IEM Katowice, because he's been talking about it all year long on his stream. He's always been bringing up those EPT points. That's why he likes playing at the Monday nights, but eventually that wasn't even necessary anymore. It was quite obvious he was going to qualify, but he still loves showing what he's made of, and he loves entertaining his stream audience. But this was always what he had his eyes on. Every other tournament, he does his best, he prepares, but he has said time and time again, it's all about Katowice, and for him to show up in such a big way is awesome. Now we're kicking things off on Glittering Ashes. That is a map that HeroMarine was able to win in the group stage against Lambo, but traditionally I would say is a little Zerg favorite.
Yeah, definitely a little Zerg favorite, and it was already odd, honestly, to see Glittering Ashes being played in a best-of-3 in that group stage. Cape did struggle in that match and had a fantastic hold here on the bottom side against Lambo's Lurkers, which were slowly but surely moving forward. Gabe is, of course, known to not like the Lurker as much in this matchup. And it's perhaps putting it mild a little bit. He's not a huge fan of that unit, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see a very active HeroMarine here in the first stages of this game.
And Solar, I've seen quite a few of his EVTs, of course, because he goes up against the very best players in Korea. And he's actually done all right against Maro. I'd say 2 out of the last 4 times they played, Solar actually came out on top. And what Solar is very good at is also just hanging in there. Oh, whoa, 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 that's not the start that HeroMarine had in mind. He did pick off the Creep Tumor, if I'm not mistaken, so he got something. But losing a Reaper against slow Zerglings and being surrounded, it wasn't even a Queen shot, but it was a Lynx around. Hopefully that doesn't shake him up too much.
Yeah, it's a little bit painful there. He's opening up with a fast second barrack, so perhaps 2 to 4 Hellions, in one of them quick 2-1-1 builds with a third command center. Losing that Reaper though means that Solar has a lot of time to prepare, and even has time to scout with this link. We'll see the barracks building. That's huge.
You see that HeroMarine actually pulled all 3 SCVs for a split second. It's almost like he was worried that 8 to 12 Zerglings were going to show up. I've seen a lot of just random link run-bys from the Korean Zergs in this tournament against the Terran players. Are moments where you normally expect the Zergs to prioritize drone production. They don't mind delaying those drones for a little bit, make a few more links and show up, and the Hellions are on the other side of the map. This is a perfect map to do that because it's so big, so if the Hellions are all the way at the bottom and links show up in the natural, it can actually be game-ending damage very quickly. But just to go back to what I was talking about real quick, Solar has shown a couple of impressive ZVTs against the likes of Maru, where it feels like he's under an immense amount of pressure. He's losing drones against Hellions, he's losing drones against Banshees, loses drones in a follow-up, sacrifices a base, makes it up to Lurkers, and not afraid to put those Lurkers to good use immediately. Grab all of them, run them to the other side of the map, and somehow, someway, always gets them on top of the production, and that's pretty much where games end.
Yeah, it's Solar is a player that is comfortable in that late game. Once he gets there, is extremely good. We've seen him take some insane fights with Infestor Broodlord as well in the past. As long as he doesn't march in a random nuke, he seems, well, close to unbeatable in that late game. You see HeroMarine, a couple of Marines are being produced at a time. Stim about to finish as well. And the first 2 medevacts should be on the way relatively soon. Double Evo Chamber opener here for Solar. So that layer is going to be delayed. Bailing speed will be a bit later. And we are most likely going to be preparing for some type of Hydra Bane opener, probably into Lurkers afterwards.
So clearly prioritizing getting those upgrades as quickly as possible. That potentially opens the door for HeroMarine to find some success with Marines in the next 2 minutes or so, because the Banelings are not going to have speed, and HeroMarine should be able to find some good fights with Marine Stim, Combat Shield, and a couple of medevacts. But this map is very big, so it takes a little while for those Marines to get to the other side of the map. And then the Queen should be able to assist as well if the Lynx can't quite take those Marines head on. So we'll see. This is kind of the first real skill check to see who's on the money, who's still sharp. It's been a long day for these guys as well. Solar showed up probably a little bit later, but you also don't want to show up too late, just in case those initial best of 5s go very quick. You don't have proper time to warm up, you don't have proper time to prepare for your opponent, because he didn't necessarily know if he had to prepare for a PVZ in case Zone 1 or a PVT if HeroMarine won. Here are the first Marines of HeroMarine on the left side, and he's just kind of flirting with the Queens, firing a couple of bullets, but not a single unit went down.
Yeah, quickly picked up those Marines back into the medevac. And it's actually going to attempt to drop in the main base. If I'm seeing that correctly, there's no Overlord there quite yet. Solar will need to respond quickly as he sees it now. Already has a Spore in the main base, nothing to worry about. The HeroMarine will try to... Ooh, he's gonna find a different location and will get to drop these Marines. Might be able to snipe a Queen here, which would be a nice pick-off, but nothing too useful.
Oh, Medevac very low on HP, barely gets out of there. That would have been a painful start. I don't know if there's a Queen on the left side. Seems like HeroMarine was a bit worried about it, so he doesn't want to evacuate immediately. So far so good for Solar, I'd say, as he's maintaining his 10 to 12 worker lead. And those 1-1 upgrades are finishing up, drops the bailing speed as well. And already has quite a few safety bailings. But both players clearly very respectful of one another, not willing to make any crazy commitments early on.
Yeah, these medevacs are kind of stuck now in this dead space, by the way, especially that one medevac with the 10 HP. As Hellions move on the map, perhaps to clear some creep, perhaps to assist with the next two medevacs and morph into Hellbats once that armory finishes up. As 1-1 is about to finish up here for the Terran player, we might see some real aggression hitting the map right now. That's a big Ling run by being set up here, by the way.
Yep, it's a couple of Lings at first, but then he has way more Lings, and I believe we're going to morph a couple of Banelings. The doors are wide open here. These SCVs are very exposed. So Solar is going to find some proper economic damage here. HeroMarine has a few units. I do love the Marine positioning there in the choke point. That should be more than enough to deal with these Lings, even if the Lings already have 1-1. Solar, do you have enough units on the left side to protect your very important fourth base? The answer is yes, as he's got a ridiculous amount of Banelings, but that low HP Medevac is at least able to escape.
Yeah, 7 workers going down as Solar brings these Lings back home. Perhaps can use them as some type of flank. HeroMarine starts moving forward here, tries to snipe a couple of Banelings, but as Centrifugal Hooks finishes up, I think this push is not going to be too successful.
I do love those two Hellions morphing into Hellbats, protecting those tanks just in case Solar thinks he can have a couple of Lings show up from the right side, get on top of these tanks and pick them up easily. It's not going to be that easy because these Hellbats are going to have a field day against Lings. If it's just Lings, now if it's Lings and Banes, that should still be enough. Solar thinks that this is the moment for him to just completely go for it. This fight is going to take part of creep. Mostly HeroMarine with a small misclick there on his Marines is able to save a couple of them, but I'd say overall that's a pretty good cleanup by Solar. And Solar once more, HeroMarine thinks that this is the moment where he can make a hold. He's got a tank in the mix. It's still off creep, but there is just so much Zerg.
There is a lot of Zerg indeed. The tank count gets reset, but also a lot of the Banelings get taken down. Solar does need to quickly start rebuilding these bases. He currently has only 1 remaining. There are 4 being morphed right now. HeroMarine might smell a bit of a chance here. Stims forward. We see a scan. 17 Banelings morphing, and once these 4 finish, I think Solar will be able to hold this.
Yep, I think it's a bit uncomfortable for Solar here as one Queen does get picked off, but I think he's going to be more than fine because he has completely reset the tank count. I don't see any Widow Mines in the mix either. Gabe is very heavy on the medevacs. He's already got 10 medevacs and there are 2 more in production. He's got 12 medevacs for 41 Marines. I kind of feel like we're overdoing it here.
Yeah, he's just really lacking some of that splash right now, losing all of these tanks. Widow Mine production is starting, as you mentioned. Drilling Claws on the way. We even see a Liberator here, perhaps, or double Liberator for some harassment. I love this double drop here on the right side, really adding a bit of spice in this attack.
It kind of feels like we're missing it a little bit though as a Terran, because now we're making Widow Mines by the time that Lurks and Hydras are out. And that's kind of where you want to have some of these tanks. And we lost tanks when we didn't have any Widow Mines, when it was mostly Ling Bane. And that's when you would absolutely love to have a few mines spread around the map to potentially run back to and hope for some of those juicy connections. So even though the supplies are even and Solar did take a somewhat adventurous fight off creep, kind of like where this game is going for Solar.
Yeah, I like it too. He's getting into that lurker stage pretty quickly. However, Big Ape has done a good job at denying the creep so far in this game. The right side is practically devoid of any creep, and taking a 6 base will be difficult for Solar, as another group is going to join up on that right side. Mine is there as well. Lurkers are not out yet. This might have some potential.
Yep, Lurkers are not out yet, but the first Viper is. Sometimes a Blinding Cloud can mess up the AI of the Marines a little bit. They can accidentally move forward into Banelings. Gave it some very adventurous movement. At least he's on the money with the medevacs, picking those up. At the same time, we've got a lot of Marines on bottom side. I see a few Banelings here. Not all that many. That Widowmine shot from downtown, though, connecting with all these Banelings and a Hydra going down in the mix, too. There are still a few more Widowmines coming in from the top. The Banelings are finding some really good connection here, though. Perhaps a little too good.
Yes, Big Ape does need to retreat at this point. This drop is also not going to work. Perhaps was eyeing that main base. Oh, Liberator Harass is forcing these drones away from the mining here. As Solar's actually struggling to max out at this point, although he's at 94 workers. Doesn't really have a bank.
Well, Liberator's definitely distracting Solar, keeping him busy, finding some remote success. Love the multitasking there, but I think in the end those bailing connections were just bigger than they were supposed to be. Imagine if HeroMarine's able to save 15 to 20 additional Marines there. You can truly keep pushing, pedal to the metal, and potentially end this game before those lurkers that we know he's not very fond of are out. Now I think it's inevitable that these lurkers will make it to the battlefield, and that's going to make for a completely different game. And at the same time, we're dropping a Nidus network in the natural of Solar, as HeroMarine is still super in his face though, and I do think he's done an amazing job in keeping creep at bay.
Yeah, he definitely has. There's a lot of mines in this fight as well. Tank in the back, Parasitic Bomb on the Medivacs. Good split off here from HeroMarine. So HeroMarine will get pushed back. These Marines get cleaned up. This topside army might be capable of trading with these links. Yes, they will survive. Now stimming forward. Are there any bailings here on that left side? I don't think so. Right side is cleaned up, as HeroMarine actually finds a pretty decent position. Does need to pick up though as more links arrive. There's not a single lurker on the map yet, and Solar has played like this before. Just pure Hydra link bane, pretending to go into lurkers and staying very high on bane links.
Do we even have the lurker upgrades? I kind of wonder about that. It's okay, we have one of the two. We've got seismic spines, but we don't have the adaptive talents yet. As Solar is now morphing banelings on the other side of the map. Drops the Nidus as well in the main base. HeroMarine, are we paying attention? I don't know if that would be that devastating if there are no lurkers. I think HeroMarine can definitely deal with a Zerg army that shows up that is not going to siege up atop its production. These are going to be links with +2 and Adreno glands. HeroMarine has +3 upgrades finishing up, and Solar has actually never started his +3 upgrades. Well, +3 armor is close to finishing up, but +3 melee only now on the way. Another Parasitic Bomb is going to deal a lot of damage to all these Medivacs, and at the same time, banelings once more finding successful connections. Solar is playing at a pretty crazy pace here, and I feel HeroMarine is doing whatever he can to keep up, but it's just not quite working. Solar is finding victories left, right, and center at this point.
Yeah, that Nidus network more of a distraction, as the frontal push is going to deal a lot of damage. Banelings connecting with all of these SCVs. Solar will get pushed back temporarily, but dealt so much economic damage right here. A big portion of HeroMarine's army also falling, and I think Big Ape is in a world of trouble.
Can we take a look at how many drones have gone down in this game? Because I feel like that's a pretty low number. Yes, a single drone. That was to a Liberator, I believe. And I think that's kind of the difference here, right? HeroMarine has played a solid game, but he has not been able to find any economic damage whatsoever. Meanwhile, Solar has killed over 30 SCVs and is still taking decent fights. More link run-bys. Of course, it's a good Zerg map. This kind of stuff is inevitable. We did land a little EMP there on the Vipers, but Solar is still here with overwhelming numbers, and HeroMarine is ready to tap out. GG. Solar takes the 1-0 lead in our second quarterfinals.
Yeah, Solar looking dominant in this game so far, not even having to use the lurkers. And just with pure Hydra link bane here on Glittering Ashes. Good run-bys, a great Nidus distraction there, really pulling a lot of Big Ape's army back into that main base, and at the same time attacking at the front. Like, what was it, 10 links popped out of that Nidus, and I think 30-40 supply of the Terran player went back to try and defend that, and Solar's like, well, I think I can break you now at the front, and gets a couple of good baneling connections, not only with the SCVs, but also with a lot of the Marines. And HeroMarine unable to recover from that.
It did kind of feel like we were playing Solar's game. HeroMarine was trying to find openings in the beginning, but it wasn't quite working out. And after that, almost felt that Solar was always the one getting the good connection, and then HeroMarine reacted. There was maybe a bigger opportunity in the bottom right side after we landed that cool Widowmine shot that felt it was way out of range, but somehow it got the missile off. HeroMarine saw that as well, but then Solar got some really sweet connections with the last few banelings he had there, because that was perhaps the spot on the map where HeroMarine was going to find the most success, as there was barely any creep to work with, and normally Marines off creep against banelings, even if they have speed, that is something most Terran players are willing to deal with.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate for Big Ape as well, of course. The moment he pulls those tanks away to go for that big 1-1 type of push, with these extra Medivacs, the first run by truly hits. He loses 7 SCVs, and he also kind of gets cleaned up on the other side. He did manage to take a good fight of creep, but it wasn't quite enough. So we're entering game number 2. And here, in the top left, spawning as a red Zerg. He's up 1-0. It is Solar.
Game 1 was Solar's map pick. Game 2 has to be this man's map pick, as it's one of the better Terran maps in the map pool. In the bottom right side, we're looking at the main base of the man who is made of epic proportions. He is representing Mousesports. Make some noise for HeroMarine. If we go down 0-2, I think we need to swap jerseys, man.
Back to black?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. not a superstitious man, but back to black it is.
And I wouldn't mind seeing Gabe without a shirt either. Do it on stage, Gabe, no break. All right. Curious Minds is obviously a much smaller map, and this is a map where HeroMarine has found success even against the likes of Raynor. He's got some devastating Marine tank pushes, and we saw the tanks on Glittering Ashes, but Glittering Ashes is such a big, wide open map that it's often a bit easier for Zerg players to buy some time and then clean them up. Solar did a great job against the first wave of tanks, and even that second wave after he kept on chasing those units that HeroMarine tried to pick up. On Curious Minds, that's a bit more difficult. There's a lot of high ground, low ground, a couple of choke points as well. If Gabe can find himself in a similar spot, he should be able to find way more damage.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, you also have that watchtower, which makes it easier to spot any type of flanking going on. You can hide behind these little line of sight blockers as well near that watchtower, which is super useful. And, well,
those are side blockers too.
Those are side blockers too. But I doubt we're going to see much use out of those, Rotti.
Yeah, actually a little while ago I saw somebody build a pylon while the rocks were still up but still behind the side blocker. And I was like, I've played 300 games on Curious Minds. I didn't know that was a thing. But apparently you can build a pylon there.
You can warp DTs over it.
Yeah. Or adapts with Resonant Glaives. Slow warping though, pretty painful.
Yeah, it's not great. Not great. 6 links here are being built for Solar, as that was a great success last game, of course, clearing up that Reaper in the early game. I doubt HeroMarine's going to make a mistake of similar proportions here. And instead we'll see a little bit of damage on the links. But once you build 6 links and with 0 ping, you really shouldn't be losing any Zerg links.
Well, one. I think we can get one. Good micro on the side. Gabe wants it. Now the Queen is out though, and that does mean that this Reaper is kind of in an awkward spot. Great job by Solar, not losing a single link there, because HeroMarine was able to get a lot of shots off. They'll see that Solar is going up to 3 bases, takes the triangle expand. I would love to see HeroMarine make a bigger attempt in finding some economic damage. I know it's very difficult on Glittering. It's not the first time we see a Terran player not have any success getting in range of those mineral lines and whatnot. But this time around, we should be able to find a little bit more. I don't know if we're going to go for a quicker starport. There is a starport going down. Could be a Liberator, could be Cloaked Banshees, could also be a Viking. I don't hate some Hellion Cloaked Banshee if you're very, very confident on your map. It is a bit almost too safe, right? It's very straightforward. Ultra good defensively, but against a player like Solar, I wouldn't mind switching it up a little bit and throwing a Liberator or a Viking.
Yeah, Solar not the greatest road rusher, of course. He's capable of it, just doesn't like it as much. He loves getting in these big link bane counts. Curious Minds, however, it is a possibility. We've seen a lot of Zerg players open up with roaches and go into that 1-1 type of push in the mid game. There's a very big concave that you can get near the Terran third base. So far, it looks like HeroMarine just opening up with that fast triple CC, and the Banshee actually is going to be the weapon of choice for the German Terran player.
He's got a lot of practice with it. We've seen him do this time and time again. Gabe will pretty much always open up like this against some of these European Zergs that are not Raynor and Seraph. He feels that he's better than his opponent, and all he needs to do is make sure nothing weird happens. This is basically his go-to build, but it's of course a build that still can find some success. The Terran players got better and better with their Banshee movement. I do think that Zerg players got better and better with their Queen movement as well, defensively though. So it's going to be an interesting little dance to see who gets the best of who.
Yeah, Solar will manage to scout everything here. He'll see the barracks go down, he'll see the cloak, and he'll even see the Banshee pop out. So that's an absolutely fantastic scout here for the Korean Zerg player. Throwing down spores immediately. Creep is looking healthy as well. And once you get a certain amount of creep on this map, it becomes really difficult for these Hellions to make good aggressive rotations, as they just get pushed back up these ramps. And then the rotation all of a sudden is very long. It's a long way around. So are those 5 barracks before E-base, or were the E-base just a little late?
That's indeed a lot of barracks, so we're going from 1 to 5 immediately. And there are the 2 E-bases as well. HeroMarine has his Hellions in the center. I think he's now just kind of waiting for his Banshees. Not exactly sure that's the first Banshee. Do we have a second Banshee as well? We should, right? No, he can't. I think he cancelled Cloak and the Banshee.
Yeah, looks like it.
Okay, so after it got scouted by Solar, he cancelled Cloak and the Banshee. Would work out great for HeroMarine if Solar ended up building 5 or 6 Spore Crawlers, but that's not really the case. I believe Solar has just dropped a single Spore per mineral line. and is now just holding down that drone button. Look at this. We're closing in on almost 70 workers at this point, and HeroMarine has not done anything about that just yet. Let's see if we can find a little bit of damage. Nope, Queens are in the right position. Without Cloak, without a second bench, it's going to be very hard. HeroMarine is a bit timid with his Hellions, but I can understand he's afraid of losing them. Man, Solar's economy though is off the charts.
Yeah, it's really quite scary. Opening up with fast bailing speed as well, so dealing any type of damage to the Zerg player is going to be very, very difficult. Tanks are already being produced. Carapace on the way. We have 5 gas for the Zerg player. Most likely we'll throw down a Hydra then quickly soon again and stay on that Hydra Link Bane for a very, very long time on this map.
Man, HeroMarine's not even building any SCVs at the moment. He's been at 48 for a split second. He's just building nothing but Marines, 8 at a time. Tanks are here as well. The one upgrade is going to finish up, but it's going to take such a long time before we have combat shield. And we do drop an armory, but Gabe has been hard stuck at 48 for a little while now. HeroMarine, where are we going to take this, mate? Because if this continues for another minute, we're putting ourselves in an ultra all-in position with 1-1 question mark?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 1-1 tank push. This is a build that Spirit used to love to play. He used to do it with 2 Banshees, I believe. And you just get 5 barracks extremely quick. That's why we saw those 4 barracks go down so fast. You cut at 48 workers. You have an insane amount of Marines. You hit with 1-1. Combat shield is going to be a little bit delayed. Sadly for HeroMarine though, Centrifugal Hooks has already finished.
I wouldn't hate a scan there in the middle, because if the entire center of the map is going to be covered in creep, as Solar is going to send the majority of his links to the other side of the map, that is not enough Marines to deal with it. We do have defensive banelings. HeroMarine's got 1-1, but he doesn't have combat shield yet. So if these banelings connect, well, Solar is going to have the time of his life. We see a few drones going down, maybe to the Banshees somewhere, or these drones were being transferred. The Hellbats do get blown up by the banelings, and it seems like the Zerglings are going to turn around. Gabe is just kind of chilling on 2 bases at this point. But does HeroMarine really have enough firepower on the other side of the map to end the game?
Combat shield will finish, so that will definitely help in this fight. However, this fight will mainly be on creep. Solar moves forward with the banelings, gets good connections as a lot of the links are coming back, and this push seems to be getting cleaned up. 1 tank in the back.
Reinforcements? The reinforcements coming in from the right side, a few more Marines. Medevacs are going to get on top of these Marines. There is a single tank in the mix as well. HeroMarine still has the army supply lead. Not a single bailing inside. We're going to pull the drones for a split second, so HeroMarine does find a lot of damage. The tank shots are big. Extra links will pop directly into the fire of this infantry. 16 drones going down, but here are the bailings that Solar has been waiting for.
Yeah, tank shots are good. Splits are good as well. I think HeroMarine might just be doing it. 3 bailings remaining with target fire. That should be doable. 1 goes down, 2 still alive. Do get some connections, but there's no bailings alive.
Nope, there are a couple of bailings morphing. Solar is now working with just a single Ling and 6 Queens. Gabe is unstoppable. This is the moment he's been waiting for. There are 3 extra bailings finishing up. 1 bailing coming in from the back. And HeroMarine is forced to pick up for a split second. But I think he also knows that he needs to keep pushing, because he hasn't been building SCVs in forever. There are 2 upgrades on the way. We are going to drop the majority of our mules at the 3rd. But yeah, we don't have to worry about any run by, because there are barely any Zerglings on the map. Great target fire on those banelings too.
Yeah, 2 banelings do remain. 2 more about to finish up. The Queens are the only thing keeping Solar in this game. Another medevac might get targeted down. Tank shows up as well. Banelings will not get the connections with the Marines. Oh, there at the tail end will get a couple of them down. I'm not so sure what's happening here.
This is very, very close, but I do feel that the Marine count is dwindling. HeroMarine needs to do whatever he can to grab every single Marine and get it to the other side of the map. Once more, Solar is completely out of an army. Another Queen falls. I think that HeroMarine is doing it, especially with +2 finishing up. That's going to give him a little upgrade lead. Even the Spore Crawlers are helping out right now in the front. It's going to be useful against the Liberators too. 1 medevac did go down. Solar is probably wondering, it's like, mate, are you ever going to build SCVs? The answer is no. HeroMarine wants to end the game right here, right now, and I believe that he's doing it.
Yeah, 2 Liberators showing up. Another tank as well. There is plenty of Marines, and with only 2 banelings remaining, I think HeroMarine has done it. The final wave of Banes. Good pickup here. Good split. The tank fire is just going to be a little bit too much. The Queens fall, and I think this will be it.
Yeah, but the last few drones are going to run towards the top side, but there is nothing to protect the drones there. A single Queen is not going to be enough. Solar, his upgrades will finish, but it's a day late and $1 short as HeroMarine ties things up with a very feisty, cheeky build here on Curious Mind. And you can see that he planned that all along, and he expected nothing else.
Yeah, oh my god, that was close. At some point, only 5 Marines remaining with 3-4 medevacs, tanks showing up, everything being rallied across the map. Solar was so close to holding there, but in the end just did not have the unit count to stop the unstoppable force.
Those were some clutch reinforcements coming in from the right at one point, because it did seem that Solar was getting a great fight, was finding some of these bailing connections, and we're like, Gabe, are we running out of steam? But then when he needed it the most, a few more Marines showed up. I love how he moved the remaining medevacs immediately towards the reinforcements, because they were softened up already, because they were stimming to the front. Great stuff by HeroMarine. I think that's a build you bust out one time in his entire best of 5, and this was perhaps the map to do it. So they both won their home map. We're all tied up. And let's see what we are going to load into now. Obviously Solar should have the map choice, but from here on out they should become a bit more fair.
Yeah, I think something like Hardwire wouldn't surprise me.
2K maybe?
I think first Hardwire.
Okay.
Pride Veto and then a Hardwire pick for Solar here. The cool thing about that build is that Solar might be a little bit more careful with droning up in the future, right? I mean, if Big Gabe is capable of playing this type of build, such an aggressive kind of fake third base build, in the future Solar either needs to scout more or needs to be more careful in the droning, but he needs to adapt to the possibility of this build coming back. And that's a mind game. Well, if you have it on your side, that's always very welcome.
Hardwire it is for this man. In the bottom left side, we're looking at the main base of our Korean Zerg player, trying to make it into the semi-finals, representing Kaisi Gaming. This is Solar.
And in the top right, he can hold down the Marine button like no one else can. Representing Team Mouse, it is HeroMarine.
What a moment it would be in the long career of HeroMarine if he can somehow get it done here in this best of 5. But the same can be said for Solar. We have praised him time and time again. We even just said it at the analysis desk as well. Group stage Solar is a real thing. He can take out anyone in a round robin or even in the GSL format groups, but it's often the playoffs where it goes wrong, and sometimes it's even the most magical run. It doesn't just end in heartbreak or like a nail biter, but he kind of loses in a one-sided manner, and that kind of takes away the shine of the great run he had up to that point. Well, so far that's not the case. Even if it would end here, obviously this is a competitive best of 5 up to this point. It's brutal for both. I wonder if they're feeling the pressure as well, because I think they both look at this as well as like, okay, my opponent is very good, very skilled, talented, hardworking, but I can't complain playing in a quarterfinal in the biggest tournament of the year against either HeroMarine or Solar, because this is often when you run into a Maru, Rogue, Serral, Dark, like those guys, that's where you know it often ends. This is doable for both.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, a different quarterfinal is Maru versus Serral, and I think both players rather play against Solar or against HeroMarine than they would against Maru or Serral respectively. So it is interesting to see indeed for both of these players a very big opportunity to get to that semi-finals, as HeroMarine this game did not open up with an SCV scout, so switching it up a little bit, saying, all right, Solar, I see you're not going to pool first me. Let's just save a little bit of money. Don't SCV scout and get a faster second guess. So far, every single game, HeroMarine has opened up with a quick triple CC. That changes here on Hardwire.
Yep. Now Gabe is definitely capable of playing the ultra late game with into Terran, and we get all the sensor towers, we increase the ghost count, we play some liberators with advanced ballistics as well, and perhaps stylistically that wouldn't even be the worst thing to do against Solar, even though I think Solar is one of the best in the world in breaking Terran players eventually. It doesn't have to be too early, it can be with big banks as well, but Solar is an adventurous Zerg, and he's not afraid to run into well protected areas with lurkers and banelings, just thinking that eventually it's gonna be okay because I'm a rich Zerg, I've got Hive, I've got all the upgrades. So perhaps HeroMarine feels that his best way to victory here is just to turtle it up hardcore after whatever he decides to do in the early game is going to be a little bit aggressive. Perhaps to just make it a bit more pleasant for him to expand later on. But yeah, we'll see where he takes it. So far, Hellions, Starport, and no third CC yet.
Do you think there's any chance we're seeing Mech this best of 5 out of HeroMarine? I know we don't see it very often, but we know he's been preparing a lot for this tournament, and ooh, it is a fusion core here. So Is this a possibility? I have seen him play BC into Bio a lot more than BC into Mech, but Hardwire is not a terrible map for Mech.
That's definitely what I'm leaning towards as well. I mean, sometimes there are some crazy 2-base builds as well, where we just open up with a BC and then we just make a crazy amount of Hellions, morph them into Hellbats, get on top of the Queens, and try to straight up end it. But there is the third CC. I'm still thinking Battlecruiser into Bio, because this is something I've seen Gabe do a whole lot more than all-out Mech play. I feel like whenever I do watch Gabe play Mech and it doesn't go well, it's like, oh yeah, Mech's just terrible. Then he watches Myro play it, he's like, maybe I should give Mech a try again, and then he gives it a shot. He's like, nah. Max is terrible. I wouldn't have hated an attempt in starting a fake cloak. Now, I don't know if Solar would have bought it or not. Can this Overlord get deep enough to see the fusion core? The answer is yes. So Solar gets another phenomenal scout off. This time around, though, I think HeroMarine has already set his course and he can't really turn around and be like, yeah, let's just go for a Raven and ignore the fusion core. No, he really wants to go with the BC.
Yeah, no fake Banshee there, no fake cloak, and then, yeah. Also, Solar being capable of seeing that fusion core, of course, is the cherry on top of that scouting pie. Doesn't make it too great. This is it's interesting. No gas is being taken, though, here for HeroMarine. Does kind of indicate that we will still be going into that Bio play that he loves so much as Sim starts. And that is indeed what we will be doing. Bailing Nest will be thrown down here for Solar. I don't think Solar believes that this will be maxed.
No. I mean, I think that Solar has done a bit of prepping. Like I said, he didn't know all along he was going to play against HeroMarine, but he has known for a solid 4 or 5 hours at this point, as we've had a couple of very long series to get here. So I'm sure that he's gone over a couple of VODs that HeroMarine has been playing, and perhaps that's one of the weaknesses of HeroMarine. The man plays a ridiculous amount of public games. Not only does he stream all the time, he also plays in a decent amount of online tournaments. Here is our first Battlecruiser, just jumps straight into the main base, picks up a single drone. No, I want to say no Sport Crawler in the natural, but that's wrong. The Sport Crawler was just kind of well hidden. HeroMarine is still finding some drone damage though, and that's not even that bad considering the fact that we've got 5-6 Queens in position. Maybe this opens the door for the Hellions to find some success in the third, but that's not happening either. So good defense by Solar, but at least Gabe got something out of it.
Yeah, and I think the best thing here that happened for Gabe is the fact that Solar hasn't started a fourth base yet. And Solar is playing, I think, once again, this 5-gas opener.
This is adding up.
Yeah, this really is adding up. That's big drone damage, and still no fourth base means that even if more drones get produced, oh my god, this is a lot of damage here. A bunch of workers will go down. These Hellions should be able to trade out okay against these Lynx as well. They find a pretty decent position. Ends up not being too great there for Gabe. Loses 8 Hellions, kills 13 Lynx and 12 drones. I'm not quite sure if he's going to be too happy with that. He's really vulnerable in the future against Ling Rumbites.
If we get a cancel on this hatchery, I actually still think that he's going to be more than okay with everything. The Queens are kind of out of position. We can't transfuse this hatchery. The Battlecruiser does get a cancel. Unfortunately for HeroMarine, does not get the drone. But I think overall 61 workers right now against the 67 drones. Queens are a bit out of position. This BC is still having a pretty good time. Can it pick up a Queen as well? Yes, it can. I mean, HeroMarine is just getting little victory after little victory. This thing can always jump home. I agree that maybe the Hellions not getting all the drones, but it's a lot of lost mining time as well. So it's not just the direct damage on the amount of drones that HeroMarine has picked off. It's a lot of indirect damage as well from all the time that these drones were not mining in the first place. And I think Solar is going to have a pretty tough time dealing with the first real pushes of HeroMarine. And Gabe wants to get another cancel on this hatchery. He just stims from very far away. Feels that some units are out of position, that this is his moment. Wants to get a cancel. There are some Lynx and Bailings showing up, and Solar does an amazing job in keeping this hatchery safe for now.
Yeah, no Spore in the main base in position to deter this drop from entering though, as HeroMarine will try and abuse this cliff a little bit. Bailings with speed will roll in, however, and should be able to force HeroMarine back as those two Marines get left behind. Poor guys will fall on the platform, but they served well. So is that a mine drop?
Could very well be. We've got 2 additional mines on the way. 4 Wither mines indeed inside. As that Battlecruiser, it has come back. It's fully repaired. So you're gonna have to cancel this hatchery, my friend, and he does end up losing the drone. I feel that HeroMarine is playing a mighty fine game here, though, on Hardwire so far. Just finding way more success than he was able to find in game 1. That did not go his way. Do we have drilling claws already? I feel like no. We have a lot of mines on the map, though. I feel like if we're going this heavy on the mines, I wouldn't hate sneaking in a second factory and try to get drilling claws, or maybe temporarily put a tag lab on the factory, but I know that's not really part of most Terran build orders. But if we're going this heavy on the mines, I feel like we may as well.
Yeah, here comes the 4 Mind Drop. Let's see how much damage it can find. There is a Spore in position, of course. We'll see how quick the response out of Solar is. Well, not quick enough so far. Let's see what the target fire will be like.
Ooh, a lot of drones very clumped up. 15 workers going down to those 4 Widow Mines. And at the same time, HeroMarine is applying some pressure on the left side. There should be more than enough Link Bane as the Banelings find some good connections. But Solar doesn't want to chase all the way around as there are a few mines to run back to here as well. HeroMarine is all over Solar in Game 3 so far, but those were the Baneling connections that Solar was looking for. And that takes away all the momentum that HeroMarine was creating for himself. My goodness, I think Solar just dodged a massive bullet, because if he doesn't clean up that the way he does, this game could very well end in the near future.
Yeah, these mines are going back in for another try. Once again, Solar not responding in time. A lot of workers are going to fall. 10 drones go down as 4 mines have taken out 25 workers total. And Solar was only on 74, 75 workers during that. He has been rebuilding a lot as a single Swarmos gets built as well, but don't think that is quite on purpose. HeroMarine still in a 21 supply lead, even after that pretty bad fight where all these Banelings connected, but he's going in once again.
And he's going to have a little upgrade advantage to work with as well in the near future, as his 2 upgrades are very close to finishing up. Drilling Claws has been fired up. That battle cruiser is just staying alive and also gets a couple shots off on that accidental Swarm host. Seems like we had a little Widow Mine connection or a few Banelings getting picked up on the left side. HeroMarine still enjoying a 30 army supply advantage, and he's about to enjoy an upgrade advantage for quite some time. Even though plus 2 carapace is done for Solar, plus 2 melee is still going to take a little while, but the silver lining for Solar is that Hive at least is finishing up, as that Swarm host, well, let's not talk about it.
Yeah, let's just skip that. Drilling Claws will finish up soon as HeroMarine setting up for a big 2-2 timing attack. A lot of creep is being scanned away. These Banelings will not finish morphing. What is the current Baneling count at? As 20, that's a pretty decent number, but there's also a lot of mines. Is run by will force back the battlecruiser, but that's not the biggest of deals. This fight can be very scary for Solar.
Gabe has been macroing absolutely phenomenally in this game. The micro slipped up once or twice. Seems like once more we had a few Baneling connections on the left side that were perhaps a bit bigger than they were supposed to be, as the mines are kind of left by themselves there. The tank is left behind as well, so Solar does live to fight another day. The macro has been on the money. That battlecruiser has been a little MVP, because it has been very successful offensively and defensively. It just feels that once or twice HeroMarine already had a possibility to truly get a lot of momentum on his side, but when Solar needed it the most, he got the best Baneling connections.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of forgot about the Lurker then though. The Hive is already finished, but no Lurker upgrades on the way yet. To be honest, there's not a lot of gas either to even get any Lurkers or Lurker upgrades currently. And Solar will be looking at a pretty scary 2 minutes. As he doesn't really have anything to deal with high mine counts. These upgrades are still going on for HeroMarine as well, soon to be 3-3. This is such a scary position.
We have a lot of Widow Mines with Drilling Claws. A couple of Liberators are in the mix too, so those are going to show up. Now on creep, I still think Solar is going to be more than fine. On the edge of creep, it's already going to be a bit dicey. Seems like HeroMarine is going to use the Liberators to harass rather than something that can assist his army in the center of the map. I wonder what our battlecruiser is up to. Okay, it's chilling on the right side, could potentially get in range of the drones. Banelings looking for connections and once more finding good connections, not just with the Marauders, but with a couple of the Marines as well. The second part of the fight went a lot better for HeroMarine, as Gabe is still just sitting in a very pretty economy. It's the complete opposite of game 1, but this time around a few HeroMarine barely lost any SCVs, but found a lot of drone damage while on Glittering Ashes. It was Solar who found all the SCV damage, and HeroMarine didn't find any drone damage whatsoever.
Yeah, HeroMarine still struggling in these fights a little bit, getting losing a lot of Marines to these Banelings. Throws on a couple of CCs back at home to get that orbital count up and perhaps even take a 5th base. I love how much he is denying the creep though. There's almost no creep tumors at these important bases. Right now Solar can't even mine from this 5th.
Solar knows there are quite a few Widow Mines in the mix. Some of these mine shots could be good. Solar doing a very good job though, picking up the first mine, and the second mine shot actually has to set up for the Queens on the high ground. Battlecruiser is still here, and it seems like it will finally go down. It might actually have tactical jump, but I think HeroMarine completely forgot about it. So that Battlecruiser is no more. We've got a parasitic bomb going down on the Medivacs. Seems like HeroMarine was pretty on top of splitting this one away from the rest of the pack though. But Solar definitely where he wants to be, and this is some of these TV CVZs I've seen in the past, or CVTs I should say, from Solar, where it kind of feels that he's under an immense amount of pressure, doesn't look that good, almost runs out of banelings, takes a lot of damage, but if he makes it up to Hive and he gets those lurkers, this man is able to flip the switch immediately.
Yeah, not too much AoE with this army out of HeroMarine. That means that these banelings could potentially get some big connections. Stim, splits, good so far. None of these banelings really finding what they want. It does feel like, though, HeroMarine doesn't quite have enough. Here, Parasitic Bomb goes down. The medevac count is rather low as well. And do we have anything at home that can help us defend? 4 mines are there. No tanks, though. And I mean, ghosts are good.
The Ghost on the left side actually getting surrounded by those lings, so those won't even make it home. One Widowmine gets blown up by the banelings, the other Widowmine does fire and connects with a few, but will also fall. Suddenly all the momentum is inside of Solar. I wouldn't mind if Solar would just slow it down a little bit here. I know you still have a lot of units made, but you actually still have an economy to fall back to. You can use your lurkers. Instead he's taking a fight off creep. I don't know if this was necessary. Now he did kill the planetary fortress on the left side, so that's obviously a big W for Solar.
Yeah, definitely is. An orbital is going to float over there. HeroMarine still on 80 workers, and 3-3 has finished, of course, for him. So these fights are, well, off creep at least going his way. I love this little 8 Marine drop here. If we can cancel this base, that would be kind of nice. I believe that Solar is running out of minerals on the other bases. Quick pickup. And HeroMarine trying to establish some map dominance again as he moves out with his main army. That orbital command on the 5th, though, that's going to be a weak spot in the future.
15 minutes of non-stop action, but I kind of feel that now we're both looking at each other like, let's slow it down for a split second. Solar wants to get a few more Vipers, maybe an additional Sport Trawler or 2 just for static defenses, make sure there are no ghosts that are cloaked, and eventually drop a nuke on one of his bases, spread creep a bit more, because HeroMarine has been really in his face, and HeroMarine realizes that just Marines, medevacs, and a few Widow Mines is not going to do it in this game anymore, because Solar is just a bit too strong defensively. So he's going to have to increase the ghost count slowly but steady. HeroMarine is perfectly capable of playing a mighty fine late game as Solar's army is very split up. That's a little bit of a lurker donation. I do think that Solar can survive that with the bank that he's working with, but he shouldn't do that too often.
Yeah, definitely shouldn't. Lurker count is growing, though. This is the point where HeroMarine doesn't like playing too much. This Ling run by wouldn't have been an issue if there was a planetary here, but the command centers just were not available. A bunch of mules go down. A lot of the SCVs have to fight as well. This is not what they were built to do, and 12, well, yeah, 13, 14, 15 end up going down here. The Marines will come and help out, but that's a big hit to the eco of HeroMarine. It doesn't have that many orbitals.
Nidus network is close to finishing up as well, so there is always the possibility of a Nidus popping up in the main base of HeroMarine. Now losing all those SCVs does mean that he even has more supply to potentially build battle units, and these fights have gone in a, I think, great fashion for HeroMarine, as there is that first Nidus going down in the main. I don't see any Marines in production. HeroMarine, are we going to take care of it? It seems like the answer is no. HeroMarine too focused on his push, but if we lose all of our production facilities, I feel like we just can't do a whole lot. There are the first few lurkers. I don't think HeroMarine is going to turn around. He just wants to make more magic happen here at the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, though. There's still a lot of defensive bases. These ghosts start moving forward as well. We'll try to take out this base once again. Solar launching a big counter-attack with a lot of these links. Right side army of HeroMarine gets cleaned up. Lurkers in the main base still going strong as well. Denying production on that starport and a bunch of these barracks. 2 Reapers being produced right now. Surely that's a mistake. HeroMarine keeps pushing forward, and this is a very fierce army.
Yeah, but this is kind of where all hell is going to break loose. HeroMarine is going to lose a lot of his production facilities. He's going to lose the majority of his SCVs. This army is pretty much going to have to do it, and it is a big army. It's a lot of Marines. The stim goes down. I don't know what the lurker count is at. Even this planetary is going to fall against straight up links. We've got only 3 lurkers, 20 banelings, but only 11 remain after those tank shots. This is an army that has game-ending potential as the baneling nest gets picked off, and the Hydralisk dam was on the right side there as well. So Solar is losing 2 of his very important production facilities, and I don't think he's rebuilt them. He's even going to rebuild a spawning pool somewhere. He still has that in the main base. Can this army do it for HeroMarine?
8 lurkers being morphed on the high ground. Once they finish, these tanks need to slowly but surely start pushing forward. There's still lurkers on the production of HeroMarine. The army supply is huge, though, for the German Terran. 120 army supply.
Those snipes, the Ghost just going to town on those lurkers that were freshly morphed into main base. There aren't too many SCVs left on the HeroMarine side of the map. Only 17, and Orbito is going to land in the center just so we can throw down a scan. But I don't see a way for Solar to fight this army, especially not without a Baneling Nest, without the Hydra Den, because those were pretty much the last few lurkers that he was able to morph in the first place. HeroMarine still has a couple of snipes available. I don't know how many medevacs we've got left. Seems like quite a few, 7 of them, most of them out of energy though. They've been working overtime. A single scan goes down, one more lurker falls. Is Big Gabe doing it? I think he's on the verge of getting himself into a 2-1 lead. Even though they both have a lot of money in the bank, neither of them is able to spend it at the moment.
Yeah, we did see the new spawning pool already being built. Production of Big Gabe is flying towards his army. There's still some orbital commands here. They cannot fall, as they are the only way to deal with lurkers. This is a big drop, because this base needs the larva. This base needs the mining as well. Oh, Solar, are you really giving this away?
And that's the Hydralisk then as well. Even the Reapers, that accidental Reaper is going to show up. HeroMarine gets on top of these drones too. They all get picked off. I like how he's killing the Sport Trawler before he's killing the hatchery, just to make sure that he doesn't have to deal with too many Broodlings. This hatch is going to fall. Solar potentially is going to try to build something up in the top left side, but he keeps on losing his production facilities. That's his last spawning pool, and that is one that I think Solar really needs to keep alive. Army supply is a little bit closer now, and the Baneling count is higher than it was before.
Yeah, let's not forget that this is also still on creep. So if these Banelings get the connections that they have been getting so far this game, this could still be bad for HeroMarine. Lots of tanks though to provide that splash damage. Solar moves in, no moves back again. One tank shot will hit. These drones get evacuated. There's another base here towards the top side. What is that in Big Gabe's base? Are those hatcheries?
Yep, I think those could very well be hatcheries. He needs production. He doesn't have any larvae anymore. He's been losing most of his hatches around the mech. HeroMarine is going to run out of scans though. Army supply, it's incredibly close. 81 against 78 in favor of the German Terran. Finds another base, finds another Baneling Nest. A few brave Marines on the right side are going to get on top of that final hatchery. Solar will be able to take care of that hit squad, but more drones are going to fall on the left side. Solar still has way more workers than HeroMarine though. But what is that already good for? What is the Big Bang good for if you've got no larva?
Yeah, that is a bit of an issue. No way to get Vipers either without a hive. Another spawning pool is getting built. I think this is the 4th or the 3rd spawning pool in this game. Tanks once again sieging forward. Great scan there. This is insane. I can't believe it. Slowly but surely, HeroMarine is keep pushing forward. We'll be able to take out this base as well, most likely. Solar doesn't even want to defend it.
There are 5 lurkers morphing now in the original natural of Solar, but that was the final hatch that was truly connected to any mineral patches whatsoever. We're now going to build 2 spawning pools at the same time, as we're still building 14 links. Those links are being produced in the main base of HeroMarine. Look at that command center. It's keeping a close eye on the hatcheries in the main base, so Gabe is aware of it. And the more time that goes by, at least the medevacs are regenerating some of that energy, because those were all completely out of juice, and they kind of still are, because HeroMarine is stimming so much. This is nuts. Such a big moment in this second quarterfinal here at the Intel Extreme Masters. We have one orbital landed, the scan goes down, a lurker falls, and every lurker is incredibly important for Solar. I think Solar is running out of steam. I just don't see how he fights this Terran army.
Yeah, too many tanks, too many ghosts. Every single time that HeroMarine spots these lurkers, they all go down because of the snipes. No way to run away for Solar, as Solar now tries to stop these orbital commands from landing, and then perhaps these lurkers that can give him some type of safety. Look at that in the main base. That orbital is an absolute baller. Covered in creep, doesn't care. Oh, this orbital, can he force everything to lift and then just burrow a bunch of links at different positions?
Yeah, but what are we going to do with burrowed links?
Well, force the orbital command not to land, and then with lurkers, well, there's no lurkers left. And there's no Hydras left. Oh, no, I guess that plan won't work.
I've seen a lot of ways. Oh, burrowed Banelings though. Now that is one thing that you can of course do. HeroMarine is splitting his arm. Wow, it's almost like Gabe just knows that this is a real possibility. Lands his orbital if he throws down a random scan. Are we going to use the burrowed Banelings there? He throws down a scan in the bottom right side. Seems like HeroMarine is mostly worried about a mining base somewhere. We know that's not the case. What is that? A single tank in the medevac? I assume it is. It must be. Yes, it is. HeroMarine sieges up once more. He is keeping an eye on these fast-moving links. Throws down a scan. A couple of these Banelings. Every single Baneling is so important. Army supply 65 against 65. 23 minutes into the game. Ridiculous. You can't make this stuff up today.
Yeah, you really can't, as HeroMarine gets a pot shot there. A couple of links will fall. This orbital gets forced to lift though, and this one will actually burn down. That is one less orbital here for HeroMarine.
He could drop a mule and repair it, no?
Yeah, he could have. Oh, he can still.
Mew! Oh, 40 HP. HeroMarine will keep that orbital alive. It's a very close call, but every orbital matters. We've got Queens off creep. Is this it? Is this the moment where Solar says, enough is enough. This is my moment. I need to finally engage you. The tank spread is excellent, though. The Marine micro is good. All the HeroMarine really needs to do is save a couple of these bio units, but all the tanks have gone down, but he does keep 15 Marines and 3 ghosts alive. Drops into the main base, his own old main base, and sees the 2 Bailing nests. He knows that Solar has no money. Snipes on the Bailings going down too.
There's 9 drones left. There's long distance mining going on right now as 2 more links are being produced. Snipes will take out this queen. There is no AoE on the side of HeroMarine anymore. Is this position completely closed off?
But there is also no anti-air. I think there are a few links and banes that could potentially sneak through. No, I don't think they can, and HeroMarine is aware of that too. But now he picks up one of the Bailing nests. That orbital is flying. This is one of the silliest endings of a game that I've seen in a very long time. We could potentially drop another Mew to save this orbital too. We could create a force field with barracks. We could create a wall off and just slowly but steady snipe. As long as HeroMarine doesn't lose any ghosts, this should be his game, because these units are untouchable. HeroMarine can do this all day. He can dance all day. He can drop all day.
He definitely can. Orbital command finally goes down, but it won't matter. He is indeed making a bit of a wall with these barracks. All of these fights will most likely happen off creep. Oh, I love how he is doing this. Look at that. Even getting all these barracks down there. Ghost on the low ground. Will use the snipe. Bailing still down. Does need to pick up these ghosts though. HeroMarine, you need to be careful. Oh, Solar does not want to commit to one side. Instead starts targeting down these. Oh my god, GG! HeroMarine wins the impossible game. I can't believe what we're seeing here.
I've seen a lot of weird endings over the last 4 days, but this was probably the weirdest of them all. Double Bailing nests in the main base, using barracks to protect his final Marines. Solar eventually said, this is it, I've got to go for it. And he did take care of all the tanks, but he could not take care of those last few bio units. And without any anti-air, it's just not a fair fight. HeroMarine had all the micro potential in the work there, with stim, with energy, with the ability to pick up and drop on the high ground, low ground over and over again, and all that Solar could truly do towards the end was hope for a mistake. But let's not forget everything that happened up to that point. HeroMarine was playing out of his mind. A beautiful game, a beautiful series so far. We are going to throw it to a very quick commercial break, and after that we'll be back with Game 4 between the German and the Korean. quarterfinals of the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2022, where HeroMarine is on the verge of making European StarCraft history. Because if he wins one more map, it'd be the first time ever that we have an all-European semi-final. Harstem, I don't know about you, but it almost feels like I'm watching a highlight reel of cool games in StarCraft 2 at this point, because what on earth is happening today?
That last game honestly was insane. This entire day has just been the weirdest day when it came to the games. And this last game is, I mean, I've never seen something like this before. It's just, that game was not winnable anymore. That game was over. Gabe was already considering how quick he would type the GGs. And, well, he stayed in and he freaking did it. I actually can't believe how well he played in that last game. The decision making in that game is so difficult. And it was some of the highest level stuff I've seen in a long time. Beautiful, beautiful StarCraft.
This man though, he needs to turn it around. Time and time again, he plays an absolutely amazing group stage, but it goes wrong in the playoffs. Let's hope he can turn it around. If you want to see this man make it into the semi-finals, make some noise for Solar.
And in the top left, the man who can apparently do the impossible. He is the blue Terran player, HeroMarine.
If HeroMarine does get it done though, I am looking forward to the next 300 streams, where I'm pretty sure we're occasionally gonna hear that he did make it into the semi-finals, where he's gonna bring up one of these games whenever he has a cool move. It's like, yeah, that's kind of like what I did at IEM, where I made at least top 4, by the way. It's like, it's gonna be great. It would be phenomenal content for all of us, but I also hope that this man can turn it around and at least send it to a game 5, because he deserves it. Solar is such a likable guy. He's been around for so long. He's been one of the best players in Korea for basically forever at this point. And he's got such a few tournament victories. We know that he's capable of doing it. Solar's capable of beating literally any StarCraft 2 player on this planet. It's just that he often struggles showing the very best of himself in the playoffs. I don't know what's holding him back. I mean, Harstem, you're a professional player as well. Is there something different about playing in those playoffs? Are these nerfs still getting the best of you after all these years?
Well, you always have some healthy nerfs, you know, the nerfs that everyone gets, and perhaps for Solar it is getting a bit frustrating, you know, if every single time it doesn't work, there might be a little bit more pressure on him getting into those playoffs, especially, but honestly, it felt like he kind of broke that in that last chance. Obviously, that was an online tournament, but he performed very, very well there, and I was kind of hoping to see him continue that streak. Of course, that is still completely possible. Interesting to note, though, is that we have Berlingrad here, and that Solar's last map, which was Hardwire, of course, a slightly Zerg-favored map, did go to HeroMarine, and well, that honestly puts him in a bit of a troubling position.
Yep, I think that's kind of like if we're playing tennis, I think HeroMarine just got a break. But he didn't win the set yet.
Definitely.
I don't know if you know much about tennis.
I know a little bit about that. I understand what a break is.
I think 15 love, HeroMarine. That's about as much. It's actually not my sport. I don't know why I refer tennis, but that's kind of what it feels like. It is, of course, not over. We saw it as well in that previous game. Solar had his moment. Solar could have won that game. I do think, though, before momentum started to shift in Solar's favor, HeroMarine was off to a pretty flying start, and if once or twice he would have had slightly better splits, that game could have ended a whole lot earlier.
Yeah, the first 10 minutes were HeroMarine's party, honestly. The supply was constantly in his favor, and as you mentioned, he lost a couple too many Marines. These Banelings on creep can happen to the best of us. Ooh, gets that was an active tumor that he just shot down there. That's kind of nice. Of course, there is a second queen already, which can just throw down another creep tumor, but still losing that isn't really supposed to happen when 2 queens are out already. As once again, we see HeroMarine kind of defaulting back to that triple CC opener here with that fast starport. Most likely on a small map, we'll see some Banshee play.
Could be a Hellion Raven. It's not something that HeroMarine shies away from. And maybe because this is a smaller map, he will feel that containing the creep is going to be very important. But it doesn't seem to be the case, as he fires up the first Banshee immediately. We don't see Cloak yet. We'll keep a close eye on that, of course. Right when I say it, he just dropped Cloak. Now, in that first game, it got scouted. He decided to cancel it. Solo, you gotta be careful with those drones. He was full of confidence that those Hellions would turn away, because those were 4 or 5 drones that were very clumped up.
Yeah, once again, Solar will move in. He'll see this Banshee with the Cloak, and he'll most likely even see that Banshee pop out as well once more. Last time, let's not forget what Gabe did, though. The moment he got scouted, he cancelled that cloak, threw down 4 extra barracks and said, "Ta-da! I have an all-in for you, and good luck defending that." And Solar actually did not manage to do that. Berlingrad has a very similar rush distance to Curious Minds. There are a couple of nasty tank locations. It is possible that Gabe pulls out the same strategy, but knowing Gabe and knowing how he likes to prepare builds, it would really surprise me.
Pretty quick lair though by Solar for this map. We're definitely not one of these builds where we see the evolution chambers go down immediately and we focus on the upgrades for the Lings and Banes and delay our lair a bit and delay our Baneling speed. It seems that Solar says, nope, I just want to make damn sure that whatever you throw at me, I'm gonna have Baneling speed. And even if my upgrades are a bit later, I'm okay with that. This does mean that HeroMarine should be able to find some success. Another tumor goes down, drops a grenade as well, trying to slow down the Queens perhaps. Poking and prodding, as our fellow Dutchman Loco would say, as he's keeping the Queens busy. And it's just picking off Cryptor after Cryptor.
Yeah, for sure. Double Evo will go down as the Baneling Nest finishes simultaneously with the layer here. Centrifugal hooks will start momentarily. And once again, for I think the 4th time in a row, we're going into 5 gas for Solar. He's really keen on this opener. He loves playing Hydra Link Bane, and he loves sticking with Hydra Link Bane for a lot longer than most of the other Zergs. That kind of, you know, they see the Lurker as the end goal, but for Solar, it tends to be more about the destination, or about the journey.
I kind of feel that the Banshees should be able to get an easy cancel on that hatchery in the bottom side. They are about to fly over. This hatchery is being revealed. It's relatively low on HP. HeroMarine could decide to cancel it, but he doesn't want to do that. What he wants to do instead is go for economic damage. There is a Spore Crawler there, though, so now I feel like it kind of got ruined that we activated Cloak so early. But it's still pretty sweet Banshee positioning. Not getting too many shots of though. Now one Banshee is very low on HP. Hellions not finding a lot of success in the natural. Gotta give it to Solar here. Very good defense, especially if we can keep this hatchery alive. But this might become a bit more complicated. Do we have an Overseer ready?
I'm not so sure if we actually do. This one Banshee will run out of energy, and sadly that's also the Banshee that already took a couple of hits from these Queens and the Spore. So I think HeroMarine will need to run away with those Banshees. So the Hellions still alive, and they're being very active. A lot more active, I feel like, than in the previous games. It feels like Gabe has gotten a little bit more confidence over the past game. Yeah. Grenade. That's not 2 creatures there. That's kind of big.
And also Queens forced to transfuse each other. HeroMarine has a double drop on the left side. This is a big moment for Solar. He truly is not allowed to lose this hatchery, and that's why he's already selling a lot of Lings and Banes. But he's not exactly sure where these units are coming from. I think HeroMarine is doing a great job in keeping Solar in the dark. Solar is not allowed to take any economic damage here. He's not allowed to lose his hatchery. HeroMarine was hoping that these units were a bit further out of a position, but so far so good for Solar as he even grabs a couple of these Marines.
Yeah, that was a very solid defense. Oh, is this an 8-Rex out of HeroMarine here? No 4 CC, we already have 5 barracks. I saw 3 more on the way. Yes, we're going into an 8-Rex here. These barracks most likely will not get any reactor or tech lab. We'll just be producing pure Marines, as HeroMarine will try to aim for some type of timing with tanks and an absolute crap ton of Marines. In that case, the only thing that truly matters is that these rocks don't go down too much and that creep gets denied.
Classic HeroMarine, as Reina would call it. Gabe, a big fan of the 8-Rex, used to do it all the time on the Romanta side. The armory is done, so we could potentially start 2-2, but I think HeroMarine just wants to get as many units on the map as quickly as possible. Solar feels that this is his moment to surround, and he actually grabs the majority of these Hellions before they morph into Hellbats, and even gets a few Marines as the cherry on top. Gabe is going to try one more time in the bottom side of the map. Steams move forward, 8 Marines. This time around, the Lings and Banes a bit out of position. HeroMarine a bit careful, even almost feels like this was too good to be true. Now he wants to get the hatchery. I don't think there is any healing potential on that Queen, but there is barely not enough firepower. But this hatch is dangerously low though.
Yeah, luckily Solar already has that right side base, and with 83 workers, I don't think he necessarily needs 5 yet. So even if he would lose it, it's not going to be the end of the world. I think Solar is kind of in the dark though about what's going on here. He's not aware of the fact that these extra barracks are here. I don't think he's scouted the insane Marine count either, and HeroMarine is going to hit really hard really soon.
This could be the career-defining moment. This could be what HeroMarine has been waiting for all these years. This would definitely be the biggest accomplishment from his career. If he can make some magic happen with the 8-Rex push here on Berlingrad. We saw how happy he was early today by making it into the quarterfinals. HeroMarine in the semifinals. He's a confident man, but I don't think even he would have dreamed about that when this tournament started.
Yeah, definitely not. There's about 80 Marines right now. 36 Banelings are here. Solar's getting the lurkers. He's getting the hive, but I don't quite think it's going to be in time for this push. Ling run by is a possibility, but I don't think HeroMarine is straight up reinforcing. Oh, this is such a forward army here.
Yep, Solar setting up the flank, but he needs to be very decisive. If he goes for it, he's got to go for it once and for all. These tanks are getting pretty good shots off, a few times on the clump of Banelings as well. It's awkward. Solar is under a lot of pressure. I don't know if we're firing up any Vipers. HeroMarine has a solid 20 army supply lead. Well, Gabe is done this time and time again. He knows how to do it. He's going to stim forward with a lot of these Marines as the tanks are already in a very good spot. Solar under an immense amount of pressure. Very difficult to keep your head calm here.
Oh, Solar's going to hit just before +2 attack finishes. Coming from 3 different sides here. Down this ramp, not going too well though. Does get a couple of good connections. Tanks will fall. HeroMarine stays alive for now, but loses a lot of the Marines. Reinforcements do need to come in. But where are the Banelings?
He is still parade pushing. Look at the minimap. It's nothing but blue being sent towards the natural. Liberators are going to show up now as well. And if these libs get protected by the tanks, this is going to get harder and harder for Solar as the Baneling nest is there, the Hydralisk is there. The final few Banelings is that's what's going to keep Solar alive for now. It seems like the answer is yes. As Solar is fighting back, he is pushing HeroMarine back, but HeroMarine is not done yet. But picking up those libs is so big for Solar because now the first lurkers are out.
Yeah, lurkers are going to be helpful. No seismic spines yet. An immediate rotation here out of HeroMarine. Tank moves over there as well. Not quite sieged yet. Can he target down those lurkers? Banelings are non-existent. One Baneling will connect with the tank as the lurkers will start working on that tank as well. The supplies look even, but the army supply is in favor of HeroMarine as 2 more Liberators will set up over here.
Sport Crawler is going to try to provide some anti-air, but that's not going to do it. That one lurker is getting a few shots off, but this hatchery is starting to run low on HP. This is still very close, because if Solar can just push this back one time properly, he's still in it. He can still make magic happen, but the hatchery falls. We are going to abduct these Liberators though. One of the Liberators takes a lot of damage, one of them gets picked off, but HeroMarine is still picking up Banelings, and Solar is slowly but steady running out of steam. Is this it for Gabe? Not quite, is what Solar says as he pushes him back one more time. But during all of this, HeroMarine did go up to 4 bases. Never started +3 attack though.
Never did start at +3 attack as he's also on 74 workers, which is relatively high, so he has a good eco behind this. Solar cannot give up any of these bases. More tanks are moving forward. HeroMarine smells blood in the water as he slowly but surely leapfrogs forward. There's a single lurker with seismic spines. Is that going to be enough here for Solar?
Well, HeroMarine says no, it's not, as he throws down the scan, picks it up, gets a couple shots off on the Viper too, but 4 extra lurkers, that is going to keep HeroMarine at bay. Solar just needs to stay calm, try to make sure that you don't do anything silly offensively, try to hang in there, increase the lurker count, increase the Viper count, maybe land an abduct or 2. But Gabe, he is not slowing down. Pedal to the metal for the German here as he is moving forward. This is going to be so nerve-wracking for both players. There is an abduct going down on that Liberator, so Solar does get a sweet pick off there, but he is under a ridiculous amount of pressure.
Yeah, HeroMarine probably should already be trying to transition into some type of ghost. Of course, there's still a possibility that he can kill his opponent with this push, but should already be thinking of the future. Solar is setting up a bit of a run by. It will be able to take out a couple of these SCVs as some abducts do go down.
A couple SCVs do go down. Blinding Cloud is going to keep the lurkers safe. Gabe needs to be very careful as he does go for some Liberator res in the bottom. And it seems that at this point the German Terran player says, alright, I know this game has been going pretty well for me, but let's not throw it. I don't think I can end it here. That's a planetary fortress, Solar, so a few links are not going to get anything done. That hatchery, by the way, at the bottom side of the map, 6 o'clock, is still very low. And it's been very low for a long time. Solar did manage to re-establish the triangle, though, as HeroMarine throws down another scan, picks up the creep tumors. But the lurker count is a lot healthier than it was a while ago.
And it keeps growing. The triple factory for HeroMarine is pumping out these tanks, though. 9 tanks currently on the map. 1 Viper gets sniped. That is huge, because without Vipers, you can't really fight these tanks.
Yep, that Viper was very important. We've got 1 Viper left. The Blinding Cloud goes down, but there are still so many tanks in the back, getting some great shots off. A lot of links went down there, but a few Marines did fall too. This is a nail-biter once more between these two. A super important, arguably the most important game of HeroMarine's career. And for Solar, well, it's up there. It's definitely one of them.
Yeah, the lurker count is so large right now though, but with only a single Viper, he can't really walk into these tanks, can he? There is only Marines with it, no ghosts, no mines, but I think these tanks are just going to be enough. There is only vehicle plating level 1, no vehicle weapons yet. Infantry weapons level 3 is about to finish up, and Big Gabe keeps pushing forward.
10 tanks, 40 Marines, plus 3 is finishing up. That hatchery is under a lot of fire. Lurkers are trying to hold the line, but Solar is forced to evacuate this base too, as the Marines are going to chase. Tank shots are big, hatchery will fall. I don't think the Link counterattack really got a whole lot done. We need more Vipers, Solar. I know you've been under a ridiculous amount of pressure, but if there is one unit here that's going to make the comeback possible, it has to be the Viper. Abduct after Abduct almost feels like the only play here.
Yeah, it definitely does. More tanks arriving to the front lines as they will start sieging this base as well. Lurkers siege up. We'll start fighting back against these tanks, against these Marines. Decent first trade here for Solar. No blinding clouds. Yes, 2 big blinding clouds here on a lot of these tanks. And this was a great cleanup for Solar, who takes out all the tanks.
Oh my goodness, Solar under so much pressure for such a long time. Tournament life on the line, actually breaks out and pushes HeroMarine back. I'd love to see him slow it down. I know that there's still a couple of tanks exposed, but eventually you're going to run into more Marines. You cannot afford to lose those Vipers because your economy is definitely not what it should be. During all of this, Solar is trying to establish the bottom left side as HeroMarine is expanding above that, so they are becoming neighbors. I mean, Berlingrad ain't that small, but we don't see that every day either.
Yeah, we really don't. Alternate 5th base is being taken here for HeroMarine, who needs to slow down a little bit and perhaps rethink his plan as well, as there are 3 Vipers out currently. That number is going to grow. The lurker count will continue growing as well. And HeroMarine needs some type of ghost here. He just needs them.
This is the beauty of the Intel Extreme Masters. The World Championship of StarCraft 2, they are both just fighting till the very end in almost every single game. Only now, by the way, Adrenal Glands is being researched. I know Solar has been under a lot of pressure, but that is an upgrade that I think he was supposed to sneak in a bit earlier. But perhaps he just needed every single mineral and gas that he could get his hands on for those lurkers. But both of them truly leaving it all on the field here. As HeroMarine still building 3 tanks and Marines at a time. He doesn't want to go with the ghosts. He just feels that this is it. He feels that he has Solar right where he wants him. He just needs to actually deal that finishing blow.
Yeah, he really should. Nidus network going down here for Solar. Solar looking for an opportunity for a counterattack. None of these Ling run-bys have really worked out for him so far. Now he believes that the Nidus network could prove to be helpful, just like it was in game number 1 on Glittering Ashes. A lot of Links are in production. The lurker count is very high. The base is still so low,
Yeah,
Rotti.
I know.
At any point, if 8 Marines drop and get 2 seconds, that base is gone.
Yep, it almost feels worth it for Gabe to show his entire army on the right side and just try to sneak a couple of Marines. They could even stim through the center. Here comes that Overseer. It wouldn't be the first time in Solar's career that he wins an impossible game by getting a Nidus network up in the main. It seems like HeroMarine saw it and he's worried immediately as he has stimmed a lot of Marines, and he says, nope mate, that is not going to happen, not on my watch. But we do know that HeroMarine likes to press that F2 button every now and then. He will deny it, but I think we've all seen the evidence, and here is that Nidus. Gabe needs to get on top of it, lowers the depots, and that should be enough firepower.
Yeah, that should be quick enough. No lurkers in his main base today, at least not in Berlingrad so far. Tank production continues. What's the tank count currently at?
It's high.
16. No vehicle weapons so far, Rotti. I'm a little bit afraid here for Gabe. I have to admit it. He is sticking with these tanks. He's not upgrading them. There's no Vikings, there's no Ghost. How will he deal with a larger Viper count?
You know, that's the thing though. Will there be a larger Viper count? Because that's the one thing that Solar is not doing at the moment. I do believe that those 3 Vipers are full on energy, so a lot of Blinding Cloud is available. But you can't really Blinding Cloud 18 tanks, not even Solar. He might be able to abduct a couple, as we do have another Nidus to go down. That Liberator was, I think, kind of important, and it just flew straight into the Hydra army. Both players are somehow, someway maxed out again, as the Marines are getting completely obliterated by the Lurkers. I don't know what these tanks are up to in the front. Okay, they just want to siege up. It's a messy, bloody fight. It does seem that HeroMarine is able to get his tanks right where he wants them, but at the same time, that Nidus network goes up in his natural, so I think we can say goodbye to that +3 armor on the bio units, but I don't even know how important that truly is.
Oh, these Marines are going to fall as well as the final tank that was defending at home dies just before the scan arrives. And these Marines are all just being sacrificed here. HeroMarine, you need to micro these. Splits now. decent enough, and this will get cleaned up. HeroMarine still in it, but the creep is now kind of pushing forward on the map, and I think Solar might be dreaming of an attack.
This is such a sick game by Solar, because he was in a world of trouble. I cannot emphasize enough on how much trouble Solar was truly in, but he's hanging in there with his tournament life on the line, drops another Nidus, and Gabe still indeed refusing to build the goals. I think what he's mostly afraid of is slowing this game down. He doesn't want to turn this into a turtle festival. I think he really thought that he was so damn close to ending it, and he was multiple times, but Solar is one of the best Zergs in the world for a reason, and he's dragging this game out somehow, by the way, that eBay survived, so there might still be a chance for +3 on those bio units, but I don't know if that's going to keep you safe against those spiky boys.
Oh, Nidus Network here on the right side. Big Ling run by as well with Adrenal Glands. They're going to absolutely rip through these SCVs. 12, 13 workers already going down. This is painful for HeroMarine, who's only on 50 workers remaining. He still has a command center somewhere on that left side as well, which he can eventually mine from as more Nidus Networks start going down. But the income is heavily shifting into Solar's favor here, and HeroMarine is on a timer for the first time in this game.
Yep, and it feels that he just hasn't been able to find any economic damage himself in the longest time, while Solar doesn't have the craziest map vision. There's a lot of creep in the center, but I feel like on the outskirts there was potential for some of these drops or liberators. Perhaps we are lacking gas, so HeroMarine is just building Marines or using all the gas that he's mining on tanks, as he does find himself in a decent position. There is still that base in the bottom left side. HeroMarine knows about it. If he gets these tanks just a little bit further forward, he could potentially just pick up that base in the bottom left, and that is arguably the most important base for Solar.
I love these Vikings being added on, by the way, kind of trying to zone out the Vipers, either forcing Abduct on the Vikings or just, well, forcing Transfuses on the Queens. One Viper will most likely go down. Tanks are getting abducted into this position, though, and Gabe is losing a lot of the important mechanical units.
Yeah, but Solar doesn't have the Viper count that he needs. Like you mentioned this earlier, well, how is HeroMarine going to deal with 8+ Vipers? Well, he's not with his current army, but as long as Solar keeps being stuck on 2 to 3 Vipers, and he still just has those 3 Vipers, HeroMarine is just building more tanks than 3 Vipers can deal with. That low HP hatchery is still here. A couple of Marines are going to push the Lurkers back further. We've got a lot of low HP Marines. Is this the moment for HeroMarine, or will Solar hold once more?
One Lurker on the other side of the map, wreaking a little bit of havoc. This base will need to be given up here by Solar. Finally, it will fall. A lot of these Marines are so low, though. Medivacs still have energy. Gabe keeps pushing forward. Tank count still very high, 2 tanks being produced at a time. Extra Vipers are a necessity at this point.
It's almost pure tank. Here we go. This is it for Solar. Drops the Blinding Clouds, wants to run the Lurkers, Lings, Banelings, anything he still has. He throws the kitchen sink at HeroMarine. Will it be enough? A lot of tanks have gone down, but there is still quite a bit of Terran remaining. At the same time, though, extra Lurkers are going to show up. The tanks in the top side get picked off too, and it seems like it has been enough. The kitchen sink has pushed back HeroMarine once and for all. 10 SCVs have gone down during all of this. We were looking at 20 tanks and they have all disappeared.
GG! Solar takes game number 4 on Berlingrad and ties up this absolutely insane series here at the World Championships round of 8. This is unbelievable.
That was a ridiculous amount of tanks on the high ground. Solar has lost pretty much each and every single mining base he had. That was it. That was the last-ditch effort, the absolute Hail Mary play, the last army that Solar was going to produce, but the last army was strong enough, just kept on getting on top of these tanks. Wow, these two are pushing each other to the limit. Yeah, I honestly, this is scripted at this point. What are we witnessing today? What are these games, Harstem?
This is, yeah, it's actual insanity. This, I'm not quite sure what's better. Game 3, Game 4, this entire series has been bananas. Both players clutching a win here. HeroMarine in game number 3. Now Solar in game number 4, just playing absolutely out of his mind. He was out. He was dead. This series was over and Solar stays alive, gets 2 Lurkers out. And he holds, and he keeps holding. Low Viper count, no problem. Low eco, no problem. A hatchery that is on 100 HP for 15 minutes straight, no problem. Solar can do it, and we'll be heading into a game number 5.
20 tanks at the end of the game on the high ground, apparently no problem either. That was truly it for Solar. He just felt that this was his moment. Maybe thought there wasn't enough firepower when it comes to the Marines to protect those tanks from the Lings getting on top of them, the Lurkers just getting on top of them. The tanks obviously will always deal some friendly fire too. a sick final attempt there by Solar. And it almost felt that maybe HeroMarine should have just taken his time, because he already got the bases there, spread the tanks out a little bit more, slow the game down for a split second, because he was still mining on the left side. But none of that matters. Pressure obviously getting to both these players. Insane game though by this man. Insane to stay alive. Insane to keep his dreams alive of moving into the semifinals of the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. In the bottom left side, fighting for Kaizi Gaming. This is Solar.
And in the top right, this man will need your support to bounce back. Playing for Team Mousesports, it is HeroMarine.
Talking about a shift of momentum though, when you're this close, when you can almost taste the semifinals, when you're ready to pop out of that seat and talk to Smix on stage and have the massive smile on your face because you have done what you've dreamed of, suddenly you find yourself in Game 5. And well, Solar, I'm pretty sure that he was already feeling pretty devastated at some points in that game, but he hung in there like an absolute warrior, a trooper, and displayed fighting spirit that I've rarely seen before. But hey, if there is ever a moment to fight till the bitter end and to stay calm and make the best of every single little scenario that you can find, it obviously is the World Championships. Insane performance by Solar.
Yeah, it's crazy. And here on the final map, 2K Atmosphere. A map with a lot of potential, but to be fair, these guys show that every map apparently has a lot of potential to create some epic games, some long games, some extremely close games. As once again, HeroMarine opening up without a scout, and Solar will not punish that with any type of early pull. No road trust, no. He's going to be playing it safe himself as well. He feels comfortable in his playstyle. He's been showing the same thing again and again and again. Those 5 gases into the Hydra Link Bane, the delayed lurkers, is what he loves, and he's so darn good with it.
Yeah, and I can't blame him for not putting it all on the line with a single road trust, because imagine if HeroMarine does scout, if he does counter your build order, and suddenly you're throwing away one of the biggest opportunities of your career on a build order loss. And Solar's confident. This is the map where I've seen him have some success with Lurk as against Maru as well. The base that he's basically taking now on the other side of the map, it doesn't matter under how much pressure Solar is. If he ever gets up to 10 plus lurkers, he will just run them in there, and he always gets on top of that base, gets on top of the SCVs, and often that just opens the path to the natural, to the main base. I've seen him do it time and time again. I think 2K is a map that Solar enjoys, and I think he feels at home at it.
Yeah, definitely is. HeroMarine once again with that fast third command center. I think that's the 4th time this series that we see that. The build he feels the most comfortable with. It's the build he feels at home with. We'll see what he'll follow up with. This Reaper is trying to poke and prod, trying to get a creep tumor here and there. Make sure that these queens don't get too ballsy moving forward. Spots the third base, making sure that nothing too wonky is going on. I think HeroMarine is pretty happy that this is a pretty standard game, as he's been playing fantastic so far in these standard games, getting himself in very solid positions. And then from there on out, well, honestly, the games go everywhere. Second barracks. This is a build that we have seen before in this best of 5. For Hellion into that 2-1-1 type of style with the fast triple CC will allow HeroMarine to get these marine drops out quickly to try and deny a forward base. And the one thing that has been pretty consistent in HeroMarine's play is trying to stim forward towards that forward base and just going straight away for that cancel. He wants to get it. If it doesn't work out, he'll just pick up, drop them, heal up, and try another time. But that's been something that Solar did need to deal with. And on 2K Atmospheres, it can sometimes be tricky to defend that fort.
I think going back to that previous game, I know it feels like a long time ago and so many crazy fights happened, but if those Banshees would have just settled initially for cancelling the fort, that's normally something that most Terran players will be quite okay with, because drone damage is something you'd love to see, but eventually there should always be a little opportunity. Speaking of opportunities, 2 Hellions and a Reaper just going for it. 3 drones already, that's pretty decent. Hellions trying to make their way out. That's not quite going to happen. Reaper gets picked off too. Still a bit of lost mining time and 3 drones though. Not too shabby for HeroMarine.
Yeah, not too shabby. Next two Hellions are also going to be moving on the map, or at least spotting around a bit for any potential Ling run buys. Does need to be careful, of course. You can't just lose all of your cars for free in the early game, because if you do that, then these Ling run buys will rip you apart. And we know that Solar is capable of that. It is really sick, by the way, how good Solar is at spotting these bases that are undefended, both on Hardwire and in that last game, when there was a base that turned into an orbital. Eventually Solar found it, sent in a bunch of Lings and dealt a lot of damage. Let's not forget about that last game, that one Ling run by onto that 12 o'clock base that dealt so much economic damage, and that really allowed Solar to stay into that game.
Yeah, we try to fight Lings that have +3 armor with SCVs. It's pretty tough. You don't need too many Lings then to pick off 17 SCVs, I believe it was. Solar did go back to his double Evo style on this map. Obviously 2K, a slightly bigger map than Berlingrad. He's okay with having that slightly later lair and obviously later Baneling speed, but this is going to give him good upgrades and at least keep his upgrades up to par. What I've seen Solar have a couple of times already in this series is that his carapace is often a bit ahead of his melee. Now for a Terran player, that's something you really don't want to do. As a Zerg, in a weird way, I don't even hate it that much, because if Lings or Banelings get on top of bio units, they're going to find some damage regardless. It's often just about staying alive. HeroMarine with his initial set of Marines does not want to take the fight against those Queens. Knows there are quite a few Lings nearby. 9 Banelings are morphing, but these are obviously going to be slow Banelings.
Yeah, they will be viable to fight against these Marines on creep, but off creep I would not suggest it as Solar. Layer's about to finish up, and then we'll see the centrifugal hook starting, obviously. As HeroMarine is being rather patient, a little bit conservative with this Marine squad, just wants to heal it up, and once Medevac 3 and 4 pop out, perhaps we'll see a similar push as we saw on Glittering Ashes, with these tanks joining up as well. Does need to be careful for Ling run buys though.
Do we still have any Hellions? Because he used his Hellions in a pretty cute way. Yeah, we still have those 2 Hellions, so those could always morph into Hellbats down the line. So we throw down another scan in the center, pick up a couple of Cryptomarines. I don't think HeroMarine is hating this game so far, even though he's not finding a lot of economic damage. I think he's picked off a decent amount of Cryptomarines and has done a good job in not making any slip-ups with his Marines. And it also didn't seem like he's making any misclicks. I feel like in the beginning we saw some nerves. It felt like the Marines were derping a little bit, few misclicks here and there. I feel like Gabe is kind of feeling it as he steams forward, gets on top of 2 drones, so that's 5 drones in total. That's already a lot more than he found on Glittering in the first 12 minutes.
I think he's going to be really happy with the drone count that he just spotted on that fort base, by the way. Only 74 workers, 7 minutes in the game. Wait, did Solar forget Bane speed? I think he did.
Yep, it's still not starting, and that lair has finished up a little while ago. Solar has to notice, though, these are Banelings that are just slow, wiggling off creep. Drops an infestation pit, drops another hatchery, fires up to 2 upgrades, fires up the Hydra then, but still no Baneling speed. There we go. I mean, that would have been a true heartbreak to lose, but now it's going to take a little while, and the tanks are going to knock on your front door. This could very well cost Solar this hatchery, because with slow Banelings, I don't know if he's going to be able to clean this up. A couple of these Banelings get cancelled on the left side. HeroMarine gets his Marines in range of this hatchery. We have Banelings coming in from the top side though, and Lings I believe as well. But Baneling speed, it feels like it's going to take centuries.
Yeah, this is not the fight that Solar was hoping for. These slow Banes off creep might be able to connect with these Marines. No, they're just a little bit too slow. Good control here out of HeroMarine. Tank still alive as well. HeroMarine pushing through. There's no more Banes available for Solar, and he will eventually give up this base, but not after losing a lot of money here. A lot of resources lost in that last fight. And HeroMarine is feeling comfortable here. He's feeling confident and keeps pushing forward.
Not even a 9-minute game, and Solar has already lost 2.8k resources more than HeroMarine. Not having Baneling speed there, or not even having it close to finishing up is truly painful. Gabe feels that this is still his moment. He notices those Banelings are still slow. So yeah, well, why even back up? Why not stay in range? Why not try to get a few more shots off? As at least the 2 upgrades were on point for Solar. And Baneling speed is now going to finish up. He did fire up the Hive during all of that, but he really has put himself in a position where he needs to make another comeback, because at this point this game is not looking all that fly for Solar.
Yeah, HeroMarine in complete control of that right side as well. That tank still in the position behind those rocks will deny that 5th base for a very, very long time. 2-2 will finish up quicker for Solar. That will give him some breathing room, as his Hive and his Lurker then are also on the way. And once those Seismic Spines finishes, we know that HeroMarine is the biggest fan of it, and we know that Solar is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, this 5th base is never going down, Kev.
Nope, no cancel on that one either, so that's 350 minerals down the drain. We do have a Lurker then halfway done. We're going to try to morph send more banelings, but Solar is in a world of trouble. Again, under a lot of pressure. I don't know how we're going to turn this one around. We do fire up our first Vipers. Lurker then is somewhat close to finishing up. At least the 2 upgrades are done, and that should make these Lings and Banes a little more feisty against the bio units. Perhaps Wither Mines can become Trader Mines once more. But HeroMarine knows it, that he left a big opportunity in the previous game to send himself into the semifinals, but he has created another one for himself here on 2K Atmosphere. But once the Vipers are out, once the first few Lurkers make it to the battlefield, Solar is always capable of turning it around.
Yeah, Solar now trying to break this position, finally wants to grab that 5th base. Will clear up both of the tanks, and that means that these Marines should not be capable of forever denying that right side base. With a big force here, this could, well, could almost be a snipe perhaps. There's no mines with this army though. That means that Banelings will be very powerful. Marauders can tank a lot of these Bane shots. Good engagement so far for HeroMarine. A large part of his army is off creep, and another mine shows up. 2-2 about to finish up as well. This is looking good for the German Terran.
That was all while being down 2 upgrades. He is no longer down 2 upgrades. Those were some sexy splits off creep. We're gonna have a parasitic bomb, almost a desperation parasitic bomb. The final few Banelings are gonna run in here. A Widow Mine has not fired yet, I believe, and it does not fire as it did go down to the Banelings. So Solar is gonna push it back, but at the same time, the Marines of Big Game are finding some success here in the natural. They're gonna stim forward, get on top of a Queen. There are a couple of Lings and a couple of Hydras, but that's not gonna be enough. So these Banelings need to come to the rescue. Solar holds, but can he keep this base alive? The answer is no, as Widow Mines will also manage to burrow and get a good shot off too. Is the Kingpin of Cologne finally doing it and punching the ticket into the semifinals.
Yeah, 5th base finishing up as Solar's 4th hatchery needs to restart over here. 7 Lurkers on the way, Adaptive Talents halfway done. Seismic Spines has already finished, but HeroMarine is not going to wait for those Lurkers to finish morphing. He is pushing forward. There's loads of medevac, not that much, but what was that shot from downtown, this Widow Mines? Oh my god, Banelings will connect with a large part of them Marines, as these Lurkers will end up burrowing and should save it up. Oh, Marines once again in the natural though, no Banelings to clean this up. Will move forward, and HeroMarine temporarily needs to back off.
HeroMarine is pushing a very high pace here. Solar is just trying to drag this game out a little bit longer, try to increase the Lurker count. Ooh, Trader Mine there, as it blows up a couple of Marauders, did a bit of damage to the medevac still. Solar, can you do it again? As a Viper flies over a couple of Marines, HeroMarine did notice it, is not able to pick it off. I mean, he's hard stuck on 3 bases, a 3-base Zerg. It's a disaster for Solar. There is no other way to put it, but there is always some hope. If you give the men Lurkers and Vipers, there is a chance, but it starts by securing that base at 9 o'clock. That is close to finishing up. He's going to try again to get the base at the bottom at the same time. I think that's a little ambitious when we're working with 155 supply, but I guess desperate times call for desperate measures.
Yeah, definitely the case. And I love that HeroMarine's already starting up that Ghost production. 3-3 close to finishing up as well. And there's just no money here for Solar to get his own 3-3. He will need to rely on good fights with Lurkers and Vipers. But with Ghost out every single time, these Lurkers, they need to retreat or they need to move back. They will get sniped. Same with the Vipers, EMPs. Oh, this is an interesting fight though. HeroMarine not quite controlling that as well. Not the end of the world, as he will be able to retain some type of map presence on that right side with these medevacs.
Gabe still not slowing down, as he's clearly still pushing a pretty high pace, and he's gonna pick off even more Cryptomers. Solar really doesn't have any vision. Compare this to the majority of the ZVTs you see. The only thing he really sees is where his bases are. The hatchery provides some creep. Well, that's pretty much it. HeroMarine is increasing the ghost count, so he can start landing some snipes. You gotta be careful with those ghosty boys. They are very expensive. At the same time, HeroMarine feels like there is a opening in the main base, or at least he's going to use this to pull a lot of units out of position. Do we get a parasitic bomb? Yes, we do. But HeroMarine is on top of that as well. And this opens the door. The triangle third. Not too many mineral patches left here, but still an important base. Banelings coming in from the right side. Can they find some good connections? No. Another ridiculous Widow Mine shot all the way from the top. The Lurker super exposed. HeroMarine still maxed out. Solar supply is plumbing.
Yeah, Nidus Network once again. Solar says it worked before, let's try this again. Vipers need the energy. Infestation Pit is getting sniped. The same time, I think the 3rd base just went down for Solar. Ay, 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 ay. He is in so much trouble right now as HeroMarine does not relent, keeps pushing forward, keeps throwing down more command centers and more orbitals, and he is looking for that kill. He wants to get himself in the semifinals.
He truly has Solar on the ropes once more. He had Solar on wobbly legs, on Berlin ground, but that was not enough to get Solar out of it. This time around, he doesn't just have him on wobbly legs. I think he has officially knocked out Solar. HeroMarine with the biggest accomplishment of his StarCraft 2 career as he advances to the semi-finals of the World Championships here in 2022. A crazy best of 5.